Yo, what's going on, guys? So today I want to talk about curses. Most importantly, how can you get the curse immunity on your character in patch 3.15. So in this patch, the flask of warding, the suffix mod on the flask has been nerfed, and now instead of providing the curse immunity during the flask effect, it only removes a curses on use, which is much worse because, well, most importantly, it will not remove curse if it's constantly being applied to you. So for example, if it's effect on the ground or effect on the map itself. So it is much worse. So first, let's talk about why would you even want curse immunity. So the most important reason is because of the map mods. As you can see here, the map has a mod, players are cursed with temporal chains, which can be really annoying. Obviously you can reroll it, but it is actually quite common to get different curses. So for example, this one has elemental weakness. So to save yourself some chaoses from rerolling the maps, or just overall when you want to make maps easier, it is a really good idea to be curse immune. So in terms of the curses, the most annoying one, in my opinion, is temporal chain. So if there is a temporal chain map mod on the map, you will be slowed by a lot. So it's action speed multiplier, so it will be both attack speed and movement speed and cast speed. So it's really annoying curse. Second one is elemental weakness, which gives you minus elemental resistances, but it actually can be countered in other way. Basically, if you have more than 75% resistances, the cursed will remove that part of the resistances. So for example, if elemental weakness gives you minus 20 elemental resistances, you would only need 95 resistances to counter this one. But if you don't want to worry about being overcapped with elemental resistances, it is a good idea to be immune to curses. Also on the map mods, there are different versions of it with different effect of elemental weakness, so it can actually increase it by more. Next one is vulnerability, which is basically the same as ele weakness but for physical damage. But here you can't actually counter it in any way. I guess the only way to counter it is to just get more physical damage reduction, like armor and so on. But it is pretty hard to get physical damage reduction, so this curse can be quite deadly. Next one is flammability or frostbite or conductivity, which acts basically as elemental weakness but only for one elemental resist. Also, there is no map mod for flammability, conductivity and frostbite. It can only be applied by some monsters. And the last one is enfeeble, which is not that bad of a curse. It would basically make you deal a little bit less damage, so it's not that big of a deal. But if there is more than one damage reduction mod on the map, it can be a bit annoying. The other reasons why you would want to be curse immune is, except for the map mods, are some type of monsters and some map bosses can also apply curses. Especially deadly ones are when they apply some kind of AoE on the ground, which inflict the curses on you, because like I said, it can't be removed with remove curse on use on flask. Also some endgame content like blighted maps or simulacrums. There are also a lot of monsters over there that also apply some curses. So there are few different ways right now to be curse immune. Well, first of all, again, you can just use flask. You will not be immune to all of the curses, but at least when some monsters apply them to you, you can just remove it with flask. So it is really cheap, but I would say almost useless way to remove curses. The different way to be curse immune is to have some kind of hex proof buff on you, which there are a few different ways you can get that buff on you. The other way is to be unaffected by curses. So the difference from being immune to curses and unaffected by curses is pretty simple. When you are immune to curses and you get curse, there will be no curse debuff on you. And when you are unaffected by curses, you will still be cursed. It's just this curse will do nothing to you. So it is a bit better to be unaffected by curses because there are some different ways you can turn being cursed into a positive. For example, there is a jewel called self-flagellation, this one. So if you are cursed, you get 20%, up to 20% increased damage, and it's also per curse. So if you have, like, let's say 5 curses on you, you get 20% increased damage. So you can turn being cursed into the benefit if you can somehow be unaffected by curses. Again, it would not work with being immune to curses. So to be unaffected by curses, you can just have 100% reduced effect of curses on you. There are a lot of different ways to get up to that point. So first way is you can get 20% reduced effect of curses on you from a Pantheon. Also on a passive tree there is a lot of different spots you can get it. So first one is here, you get 10% and 10% here, so you get 20% reduced effect of curses from Asylum, and also 20% more if you are on consecrated ground. Also from the Sanctum of Thoughts, you get also another 20% reduced effect of curses on you. So these are overall good on Inquisitor because you start here and you get additional effect of curse, reduced effect of curses on you when you are on consecrated ground, and if you are an Inquisitor you get the cursed grounds on you. Consecrated ground on you. So also, if you are a Guardian, you get 80% reduced effect of curses on you. So you only need 20% more, which you can get from Pantheon. So you can very easily be 100% curse immune. Next one is Ascendant. So Ascendant has the same thing, but it's only 25% from the Guardian path of Ascendant. There's also a lot of different uniques that can provide it to you. So for example, Fifth Torment has 50% reduced effect of curses on you. You can only use one of them, but because it says can't use other ring, but 50% reduced effect of curses is quite a lot. Next one is Kikarazu, which gives you 40% reduced effect of curses, but it doesn't really do anything else other than that, so it's cheap version to get curse immune. And if you have some kind of build that relies on being cursed, like with the self-flagellation jewel, it is worth it, but eventually you would want to replace it with something else. And the last way to get some reduced effect of curses is through using these passives from the Flask cluster jewels. So Numbing Elixir gives you 40% reduced effect of curses on you when you use a mana flask, so during a mana flask. So if you get 2 of them, like I have here, on my Megalomaniac I have 1 Numbing Elixir, so 40%, here 40%, and from Pantheon 20%, I have 100% reduced effect of curses on you during my mana flask. So obviously you don't need to go out of your way and use 2 of them, you can just use 1 Pantheon, one numbing elixir and, for example, something like Asylum or Sanctum of Thoughts or something from your Ascendancy, or just one Kikarazu. So there's a lot of different ways, and it's up to you to calculate which ways to get that 100% reduced effect of curses on you. Also, it is worth to point out you don't really need to get 100%. Let's say you have 80% or 70%, it is still quite decent. And if you have to invest a lot to get that last 20-30%, it might be actually not worth it. I mean, if you have like 80-85% resistances, you will pretty much not need curse immunity for your elemental weakness. For vulnerability, it will be not that noticeable, and the same for temporal change. So getting like 70-80% is still pretty fine. But there are also ways to be completely immune or unaffected by curses. So first way is to use the Garb of Ephemeral. So this will give you the divine buffs, and divine gives you the immunity to curses. Overall, it is pretty good when you are playing a support build, but I would actually not recommend using this chest just to get the immunity to curse buff. The second way is actually a very good way, is through usage of Viridius Veil. So if you have this helmet and you have in your right slot a magic ring, you will be hexproof. And again, hexproof gives you the unaffected by curses. Well, it's actually immune to curses, the buff. So the curses will not be applied to you. So this is actually really good, because if you are using magic ring, you might think this is a wasted slot, but it's actually not. Usually on your ring you just need few specific mods, for example Curse on Hit and Life, so you can still have a magic ring with two really powerful mods, and this way this helmet is actually really powerful. It drops from Maven and it's usually pretty expensive, like few exalts, but it is a really good way to get curse immunity. The next one is Azir Reflection. So it's mostly used by Wonders. So this gives you unaffected by curses buff. So again, curses will still be applied to you. They will just not do anything to you. And this shield is also quite expensive. It's usually around 5 to 10 exalts. So these are pretty much all of the ways. The last way I would say is a Headhunter, because you can steal a hexproof buff from your enemies, so if you steal that you will be immune to curses. So to end the video, I want to say, if you are just starting mapping, you shouldn't really worry too much about curses. You can just use the flask with remove curses on use and just reroll the maps if you get the curse on them, or just run them if you can handle it. Eventually you can start focusing more on reduce effect on curses on you, so through Pantheon, through Tree. So maybe use some numbing elixir, maybe go over here, or just start using the Kikarazu rings or Fifth Torment to just get some reduce effect of curses. And eventually, if obviously you build can afford to use it, you should start using either Azir Reflection or Viridius Veil. For my build, I like to use the numbing elixirs double, because I am Pathfinder, so I pretty much always have my mana flask up, so this way I am always immune to curses. So that's gonna be it, and thanks for watching. See you next time.